I'm Ishwari and today we are going to learn the topic Lumber Room by Hector U. Munro. Yes. So now I'm going to read it and then let's start. The children were to be driven as a special treat to the Sunset Jabberwock. Nicholas was not allowed as he was in disgrace. Only that morning he had refused to eat his wholesome bread and milk on the grounds that there was a frog in it. Older, wiser, and better people had told him that he was not to talk nonsense. The dramatic part of the incident was that there really was a frog in Nicholas' basin of bread and milk. He had put it there himself and proved the older, wiser, and better people wrong. So what happened? There were children that were driven on a special treat. As a special treat means they went on as a special trip on the sands of Jabberwock. Why they went? Because the Nicholas, he was in disgrace. Disgrace means the loss of other people's respect and approval because somebody has behaved badly. Means he was in disgrace means he behaved badly. Because that morning what happened, he refused to eat his wholesome bread and milk on the grounds. Means he refused that he don't want to eat his breakfast. What was in his breakfast? There was wholesome bread and milk. Means there was milk and bread or bread and milk for his breakfast. On the grounds they were eating it. So he just refused to eat that because there was a frog in it. So older, wiser and the better people. Means the big people, and they are, as we all know, they are wiser and they are better people. So they told him that he is not supposed to talk nonsense. Means he should not talk nonsense. But what the dramatic part of the incident was, means what, there was really a frog in the Nicholas basin of bread and milk. There was a real frog. There was really a frog in his breakfast. Because he had only put that inside it because he wanted to prove the older, wiser and the better people wrong. So the aunt had hastily invented the Jabberwock trip. Whenever one of the children fell from grace, the aunt planned something of a festival nature for the children from which the offender would be debarred. So debarred means banned. So what, there was an aunt, means Nicholas' aunt was there. She hastily invented the Jabberwock trip. Means what I can say, she hurriedly invented the Jabberwock trip. So what happens? He always used to invent such trips. When one of the when one of the children, he or she falls from the grace, means disgrace. So when one of the children or when one of the child fell from grace, the aunt she used to plan any trip so that other children can go and the offender would be debarred, means the child that is in disgrace would be debarred, would be banned. After the children left Jabberwock, the aunt told Nicholas that he was not to go into the Ghostberry Garden. When the children went to the trip, the aunt, Nicholas' aunt, she told to Nicholas that Nicholas, you should not go in the Gooseberry Garden. That Nicholas is not supposed to go in the Gooseberry Garden. Why not? Demanded Nicholas. Now Nicholas said, why not? Why can't I go? So because you are in disgrace, said the aunt loftily. Let me check the meaning of loftily. So in a superior manner means strictly, she said. Because you are in disgrace. The aunt said to Nicholas that you can't enter the Gooseberry Garden. The Nicholas said, why? Why not? Why can't I enter that garden? So she said, because you are in disgrace. She said, strictly she said that you are in disgrace. Nicholas' face took an expression of considerable obstinacy. It was clear to his aunt that he was determined to get into the Gooseberry Garden only because she has told him not to. So obtainnessy means stubbornness. So the Nicholas, his expressions changed, and it was clear to his aunt that the Nicholas is going to go in the gooseberry garden. Means because she told him not to go, so he would go. Means she told him not to go, but he is going to go. In the afternoon, the aunt spent an hour or two in trivial gardening operations, from where she could watch the door that led to the forbidden area. Nicholas wriggled his way with obvious lack of purpose towards one of the doors. In fact, he did not want to get into the gooseberry garden, but he wanted his aunt to believe that he had been to the gooseberry garden in order to keep her on self-imposed sentry duty. Now let me check the meaning. So trivial means unimportant. Then sleeth. So sleeth means careful and secretive movement. Self-imposed means put on oneself, and sentry duty means a guard posted at a given spot to prevent the passage of persons without permission. So what happened in the afternoon? The aunt spent 1 or 2 hours in the trivial gardening operations, from where she could watch the doors that led to the forbidden area. So the Nicholas, he wriggled his way with obvious length of purpose towards one of the door. Actually, the Nicholas, he didn't wanted to enter the gooseberry garden, but he wanted his aunt to believe that he had been in the gooseberry garden. Means he didn't wanted to enter the gooseberry garden, but he wanted his aunt to believe that he is in the gooseberry garden, so that she would be on a self-imposed sentry duty. Means she would be remaining there, and she would be doing a duty. No one would enter the gooseberry garden. Having thoroughly confirmed her suspicions, Nicola slipped back into the house by standing on a chair in the library. He reached the shelf on which lay a fat, important-looking key. The key was the instrument which kept the mysteries of the lumber room secure from the unauthorized intrusion. So, intrusion means going into a place without permission. So, what happened when he thoroughly confirmed to her aunt that Nicholas is going to the gooseberry garden? What did the Nicholas do? He slipped back into the house. Means he came back into the house from the gooseberry garden, and he stand on the chair in the library, and he reached a shelf, and on that shelf there was a large, and it was very fat, and it was looking very important. What was there? There was a large, then it was fat, and it was an important looking key. So the key, it was the instrument. Means the key was the key of the lumber room. Means she used to keep the lumber room's mystery secure from the unauthorized intrusion. Means the children's and other people. So yes, Nicholas opened the door of the lumber room, and inside he saw interesting objects like a tapestry picture depicting the story of a man hunting a stag, quaint twisted candlesticks in the shape of snakes, a teapot fashioned like a china duck, a carved sandalwood box packed with aromatic cotton wool, and brass figures of hump-necked bulls, peacocks, and goblins. Less promising in appearance was a large square book with plain black covers. Nicholas peeped into it, and behold, it was full of colored pictures of birds. And as he was admiring the coloring of Mandarin duck, the voice of his aunt calling him his name came from the gooseberry garden. So what the Nicholas did? He took that key and he opened the door of the lumber room. Then there were many interesting things, so I don't think that I should repeat the names of the things because they are a long list, but you can read over here. And then he found a large square book with plain covers. Then as Nicholas, he was admiring the color of the Mandarin duck, the voice of his aunt calling his name came from the gooseberry garden. Means his aunt, he called his name from the gooseberry garden. "Nicholas, Nicholas," she screamed, "you are to come out of this at once. It's no use trying to hide here. I can see you all the time." So now she was screaming on him that, "Nicholas, Nicholas, you need to come out, because you should not hide over there. Don't try to hide. She can see everything." Presently, the angry repetitions of Nicholas' name gave way to a cry for help. Nicholas shut the book and restored it carefully to its place in a corner. Then he crept from the room, locked the door, and replaced the key exactly where he had found it. His aunt was still calling his name when he sauntered into the front garden. So, restored means to return something to its former place, and sauntered means walked in slow, relaxed manner. So after hearing the voice of his aunt, what did Nicholas do? He kept everything properly. He kept that book and restored it properly. Means he kept that book in his place properly in a corner. And he crept from the room, means he came back from the room. Then he locked the door and he placed the key where he found that key from. Means he replaced the key in the library, because he found it in the library, right? Then his aunt was still calling, and then he went over there into the front of garden. "Who's calling?" he asked. "Me," came the answer from the other side of the wall. "Didn't you hear me? I have been looking for you in the Gooseberry Garden, and have slipped into the rainwater tank. Luckily, there was no water in it, but the sides are slippery and I can't get out. Fetch the little ladder from under the cherry tree." So now the Nicholas said, "Who's calling?" Then, "Me." This answer came from outside of the wall. "Didn't you hear me?" So it was his aunt, and she was in the Gooseberry Garden, and she slipped in the rainwater tank. But there was no water in it, but sides, they were slippery, and she was not able to get out. So she said to Nicholas that, "Please place a little ladder from under the cherry tree so that she can come up." "I was told I wasn't to go into the Gooseberry Garden," said Nicholas promptly. So now the Nicholas said, "I was told that I don't want to enter the Gooseberry Garden. I am not supposed to enter the Gooseberry Garden. I told you not to, and now I tell you that you may," came the voice from the rainwater tank, rather impatiently. So now the Nicholas, he was not knowing that there is his aunt in it. So the voice came that, "I told you that you should not go, but now I am telling that you should come in." "Your voice doesn't sound like aunt's," objected Nicholas. "You may be someone who is tempting me to be disobedient." "Don't talk nonsense," said the prisoner in the tank. "Go and fetch the ladder." "Will there be strawberry jam for tea?" asked Nicholas innocently. "Certainly there will be," said the aunt privately, resolving that Nicholas should have known of it. So resolving means deciding firmly on a course of action. So yes, "Now I know that you are not my aunt," shouted Nicholas gleefully. "When we asked aunt for strawberry jam yesterday, she said there wasn't any. I know there are 4 jars of it in the store cupboard, because I looked, and of course you know it's there." It was a kitchen maid who eventually rescued the aunt from the rainwater tank. Means the Nicholas, he was not knowing, he thought it's not his aunt, but the maid, the kitchen maid, she came and she rescued the aunt from the rainwater tank. Tea that evening was partaken in a fearsome silence. Means there was silence while everyone was taking the tea. The tide had been at its highest when the children had arrived at Jabroho Cove, so there had been no sands to play on, a circumstance that the aunt had overlooked the haste of organizing the expedition. The aunt maintained the frozen muteness of one who suffered undignified and unmerited detention in a rainwater tank for 35 minutes. As for Nicholas, he too was silent in the absorption of one who was much to think about. So, in this way, we have completed our topic. So, now let's read something about the author. Who's the author? He is Hector Murnau, who wrote this Lumber Room, a short story. British writer Hector Murnau was better known by a pen name Saki. So his pet name was Saki. His pen name was Saki, I mean. He was sent back to England after his mother's death, only to be brought by his strict aunts. They became the models on which he based many of his characters in his stories. In his writing, he displayed mastery over the short story form, and his stories depicted the hypocrisy in the society of this time. So in this way we have completed the topic Lumber Room. I just want to request you that please like my video and subscribe my channel if you are new at my channel, and share this video with your friends and family members. And please comment that do you like my video or not, or do you want some improvement or something else. So yeah, bye for today.